COD Zombies is a classic formula. Back in the early 2010s, many of us grew up killing the undead thrown at us in games like BO1 or BO2. We were probably too young for that, but that's besides the point. It's a gameplay loop that has held up for over a decade to the point where we are still getting COD Zombies games now. And that leads me to my next point. The COD Zombies games we are getting now are hit or miss, to say the least. Vanguard. However, there are a few developers who have taken it upon themselves to make their own COD Zombies experiences. Not like in their own game, but in Roblox. I know Roblox has a bad rep for both justified and unjustified reasons, but there can be some solid stuff on there. So today, we're going to explore the world of Roblox COD Zombies. Before we start, I would appreciate it if you liked and subbed. If you don't, I'm not reviving you when you have the ray gun. The first game we played was called MMC Zombies Project. This is one of the older Zombies games on Roblox, despite it still having a decent player pool. There are 4 maps to choose from, including a remake of Knocked, a remake of Kill House from COD 4, and 2 other original maps. We went to a private lobby and decided to play the map Facility first. You start the same as classic Zombies, with only a cult on round 1. The first thing you'll also notice is that this map isn't on the level of Knocked in size. It's more on the level of a DS Zombies map, maybe even smaller. It plays pretty much how you expect, minus the bug or two. There isn't any power, but there is all of the perks and Pack-a-Punch. The arsenal mostly consists of equivalents of the World at War guns, and the difficulty of the game is pretty similar to that as well. The difficulty being a very quick spike. Besides that, the gameplay loop of the map is pretty simple, so there isn't really much to talk about. There are Hellhound rounds, but the dogs look super silly, and they got stuck a lot. By round 8, the zombies were already sprinting, which was hard to deal with on this small map. My friend downed on round 10 because of one of the main problems with it. A lot of the guns have very little ammo. We packed on round 11 and got absolutely swarmed doing so. By round 13, I was fully geared up with both my weapons packed and all of my perks. And then the round after, I went down and the game started freaking out. I somehow kept all my perks besides Quick Revive, but unfortunately we both downed shortly after. We decided to also try the other original map called Deserted Training Area. You start in a very strange starting room with only one wall by, and in order to get Quick Revive, you have to buy the first door. Other than that, we started the same as usual. This map has a very strange layout. It's not a very big map, with there only being 4 or 5 rooms in the whole thing. It's basically a small circle with a stairway up to one small room on the side. The mechanics are still solid, but this map has a noticeable lack of Pack-a-Punch. Because of this, a lot of the strategy as the rounds go on devolve into hitting the box until you get a decent gun, using it for all its ammo, and then going back to the box. The map was alright and played pretty similarly to the prior one. I did almost hit this sick clutch at the end though. I'm a clutch. Clutch. Oh, I'm hitting some sick moves. Ooh, oh my god. I'm literally like a COD zombie. Yeah, that was an impossible corner to get. MMC Zombies Project is a solid zombies experience. It's nothing to write home about, but it checks enough boxes for it to be a fun time for a little while. The main thing that holds it back from being truly great is the maps, because they're super basic to a fault. I can't see myself returning to these very often. Now we move on to our second game called Project Lazarus. From the jump, you can definitely see this is a more appealing game graphically, but that doesn't always transfer the gameplay. The map I played on is called Graduation,
Take this, haters.
which is basically Verrucked from World at War, but made into a school. You start on opposite sides of the map, just like that version. Instead of the 1911, you start with a Beretta M9, and it serves a very similar function. Another thing you will probably notice when you play is that you play with 6 players as opposed to the usual 4 in Zombies. This is a change a lot of Roblox games make, but it does dampen the difficulty a bit. You move throughout the map mostly as normal, with the only significant change from the World at War version being a more modern arsenal of weapons. I say mostly as normal because with the higher player count, there are less points to go around. This makes the early rounds a bit of a slog to get through, since getting the points you need to buy the doors is annoying. By round 6, I was able to go and get power on and take a hit from the box. I got an assault rifle that was really good, and then started to look for zombies aimlessly. Eventually I found out staying downstairs was the best way to get them to spawn, so I just stayed down there. I started getting my perks, and then Pack-a-Punch, which is located where the useless closet used to be in the original Verrucked. I'm not gonna lie, for Roblox, the Pack-a-Punch camo was pretty sick. The game also has a unique mechanic where your gun gets a perk for when you Pack-a-Punch that is a small little boost. However, this is where the progression stops. Once I got Pack-a-Punch, which was honestly pretty early, the game became mind-numbingly easy. Like, I barely felt at risk the entire time I played. And when I got Pack-a-Punch and perks, it felt like I had to try and down. I mean, my teammates kept going down, so maybe it's just me. Or maybe they're just 7 years old. Either could be true. but that didn't stop the rounds from slogging on and just feeling like they took forever. I spent a little bit mindlessly shooting at zombies, but I eventually just gave up and quit from boredom. Project Lazarus feels like the polar opposite of MMC for me. MMC was a solid challenge that was held back by aging a little bit poorly. Meanwhile, Lazarus feels like a more modern game with tight and solid mechanics, but lacks a lot of the difficulty to make it interesting. This causes me to put it on a very similar place to MMC as far as desire to play it again. Now we move on to the third game called Resurrections. This game had by far the lowest number of players of any game on this list, but it was the most interesting by far. It doesn't have a good start though, as the menu is confusing and convoluted, but once you figure out how to navigate it, you can see that there's two different modes to this experience: Zombie Tower and Survival. We decided to try Survival first. There's only one map in this game called Roots of Corruption. Editor's note, there might be another map. I don't know. My friend said something about it. I haven't played it, so. As soon as you load in, you can notice that this is the first map in the video that feels like it has an aesthetic and art direction. It has a similar feel to the map Dead of the Night from Black Ops 4, and even though I hate the gameplay of that map, I really do enjoy the direction that map took artistically. This isn't an out of thin air comparison either. The wall buys are literally identical to Black Ops 4. This map is also the most advanced gameplay wise out of any I've played so far. It's a huge map with lots of mechanics I don't even understand, and probably lots of Easter eggs as well. But like most COD Zombies maps, it's not going to be explained to you how to navigate it. You won't have time to sit down and figure it out, because unlike the games a lot of the more complicated maps come from, this game is hard. I don't say any of this as a downright negative though, because it makes me a lot more interested in figuring the map out. As far as the gunplay and movement goes, that is pretty solid as well. I survived until round 10 before we got owned by the mini boss of the map, but even just that little experience was a fun time. While my experience with it was short, I can definitely say that this is the most unique Roblox Zombies experience I've played today. It's pretty good, but I feel like I've only scratched the surface. If you want me to maybe tackle this map in more depth on its own, let me know in the comments. Now we move on to the second game mode, Zombie Tower, which doesn't even feel like the same game. It was honestly just confusing, to be honest. You load into a lobby as you wait for the next match that has some nice vibes but doesn't really serve much purpose. Once you do get in though, you see that the objective is to climb this giant tower and you start with an M1 Garand. That seems simple, but that's not really what I was focused on during this match. Most of the time was spent running trying to catch up to the people in front of me. I barely even got to see that many zombies because the people in front of me just mowed them down. By the time I finally caught up and got to see the zombies, I got one shot and sent back to the lobby. Yeah, safe to say this experience isn't for me. I can't even really rate it because it just felt like a fever dream. Now we move on to Recoil Zombies. Like in actual COD, this is a side game mode to the Roblox game by the name of Recoil. And as you can clearly tell from the style of the game, it probably wishes it wasn't a Roblox game. There's 3 maps to choose from: Nacht, Verrückt, and Kino. We chose Kino since it was the map we saw the least of in prior games we played. Once you choose the map, you can choose a class to start with in game. And of course, there's plenty of things to spend your money on already. I chose tank since it was a no-brainer choice here. You got extra health and extra damage. You load in and it's just zombies, but it feels weird. The animations and graphics are just jank, and the game feels soulless. It recreates Kino with none of its charm, and that's how I feel with the first minute or two. Like, I hit the box and got a generic modern gun with not even a box jingle. They also couldn't be asked to put in Nova crawlers or dogs, they just used random hazmat zombies. Other than that, it plays exactly like the Kino you would expect. It's an easy map that checks all the boxes to be considered a complete zombies map. The one thing they did do differently isn't even good. They took the Black Ops 4 pack-a-punch system where you have to pack multiple times for upgrades and didn't even bother to make a pack-a-punch machine. They literally just used a workbench. I feel like if you could go to ChatGPT and say, make me a COD Zombies clone in Roblox, this is what it would spit out. No original maps, no personality, just the bare minimum to check the boxes of an acceptable experience. I'd rather play something bad because at least it can be interesting. This just left me feeling nothing. Now we move to what you were probably waiting for: Recoil Zombies, the only COD Zombies clone made by a cat. There's 4 maps to choose from in this: 2 remakes, a 1-window challenge, and an original map named Lighthouse, which is what we played. There's good reason we saved this one for last. First is because, we've already played it. But secondly, it's by far the best zombies experience on Roblox. Sorry to jump into the conclusions early. To start, this map is very simple, with only an outside and a few small rooms. But I did take points off from games earlier for that, which I won't here. That's because while it is simple from a quick glance, there's a lot of small things that add up to a much more interesting experience. I'll run through a few of them. In order to get power in the map, you don't just hit a switch, you actually have to fill a soul box and spawn. There's a pretty solid melee weapon you can get by purchasing the secret cabinet in the shack. While there isn't a pack-a-punch machine, there's a unique way to pack-a-punch on this map, which is just getting a power-up on the ground. It's 6 players, but the fact that this map is so small makes it chaotic. Don't say it. Instead of boring. There's even a small Easter egg on the map, and it's crazy because you can figure it out without a guide. And once you do it, a boat will come to the map and offer you a buyable ending. These seem like little things, but they add up to a good experience. This and something like Recoil both check the boxes to give a solid zombies experience. The difference with Michael's is that it has the personality and the little things that add to the map and make it fun. I didn't even really touch on the gameplay, gunplay, and arsenal either. They are all really tight and surprisingly good for a Roblox game. I only have 2 criticisms for this game that hold me back from saying it can compete with the actual thing. First, the maps are still ultimately simple, and there's nothing here that can really hold a candle to even maps at the end of Black Ops 1. And secondly, you can't make a private match, so it's really annoying when the 7-year-old in the lobby gets the ray gun you need for the Easter egg.
Did you do it?
No, he's not doing it, bro. He's... Bro, shoot the satellite, man. He's shooting the lighthouse because you said that.
I'm sorry, I thought it was on the lighthouse.
Oh my god, now I'm gonna die because I have to keep trying to, like, tell it the 12-year-old how to shoot a satellite. But honestly, the fact that these are the criticisms that I'm having with this game shows that I hold it to a much higher standard than pretty much any other game on the list. This is how high the bar has been set for Roblox COD Zombies going forward. If I had to put it on a tier list, I would put it at A tier, with S tier being like competing with actual zombies. I hope that either this game or another game can come up and become a true competitor to the zombies modes we get in COD, since this game proves that they're right on the cusp of it. Now, I think it would be right to rank all these experiences from worst to best, because nothing brings more angry children to engage with my video than ranking Roblox games. The obvious worst one is Recoil Zombies. It's probably not the worst one here simply from a gameplay standpoint, but it's like a slice of bread. It's a meal that'll fill you a bit, but why would you ever go out of your way to eat a slice of bread with nothing else? It's kind of just soulless and an obvious cash grab to reuse assets from another COD game they already made. Everything past this point is at least solid, so don't take too much offense in the ranking difference of like 3 compared to 4. But I think the second worst one would have to be MMC Zombies Project. It's certainly not bad, but it definitely shows its age. There's a lot of jank that comes with that, but it can still be a fun time. I think the highlight here is the challenge and difficulty, which a lot of these other games don't have. Above MMC, but on a similar level, is Project Lazarus. The game nails the feel and smoothness of the gameplay, but the game is just too easy. You get to a high level of power way before the zombies can catch up, which makes the game a snooze fest as soon as you pack a punch. I only got to experience one map, so this could be different on others, but you're just gonna have to let me know if that's the case. The runner-up to the best zombies experience on Roblox is the underdog, that has the least number of players, Resurrections. This game, at least in the survival aspect, has the potential to be really great, and like the only map on Roblox that has some really good depth to the gameplay. I'll be honest and say I don't understand it too well, but from the bit I've played, I did see something cooking there. The main things that hold it back for me are the lack of understanding, which is on me, as well as the strange zombie tower mode, which I have no desire to ever touch again. And not a surprise to anyone, the top spot is Michael Zombies. From a top to bottom standpoint, this is the best COD Zombies clone on Roblox. It has good gameplay, solid maps, and lots of personality. Some games may have aspects that are done better, but this game is the jack of all trades and pretty good at all of them. But that leaves the final question. Do these games hold a candle to actual COD Zombies? The answer is mostly no, unfortunately. Are a lot of these games on par with or above World at War Zombies? Yeah, but that's not a particularly high bar. I think a lot of the stuff post early Black Ops 1 Zombies unfortunately wipes the floor with any of these. There isn't an experience like Shadows of Evil or Mob of the Dead on Roblox right now, but on a positive note, there definitely can be in the future. Roblox continues to grow in both players and talented developers. The best Zombies clones we have right now are miles better than the ones we had even 2 to 3 years ago. I do truly think that we will get an amazing map on Roblox someday, and even until then, these experiences can be fun to play with some friends for a chill time. And it's free. You have no excuse not to. If I missed any games today, and I'm sure I did, let me know in the comments. And if I get enough to cover in another video, I'll get right on that. Also, leave a like and a sub if you want more like this as well. Also, join my Discord if you want to get angry at me for my opinions on games for 10-year-olds. Link below. Thanks for watching. I'm Chaos for Real.
In life you have roadblocks.